Have you ever opened your eyes at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. with no alarm, no noise, and no reason? You tried to roll over and go back to sleep, but something inside you said, "Wake up, pay attention, something is happening." Most people ignore moments like these. They think it's stress, or coincidence, or bad sleep. But what if I told you, you didn't wake up, you were awakened? There is a difference. When God wakes you up early, it is because something in your life is shifting. It might be a warning, it might be preparation, it might be instruction, or it might be the doorway to the breakthrough you've been praying for. And if you ignore these moments, you may miss the very message that could change your entire future. So stay with me to the end, because once you understand why God wakes you early, you'll begin to see these moments as divine appointments, not interruptions. When you wake up early, especially at hours when the world is still asleep and silence covers everything around you, it is rarely a random moment. Many people dismiss these early awakenings as stress, bad habits, or an overactive mind. But what they overlook is that the soul often wakes before the body for a reason. The truth is, when you find yourself awake between 3 and 5 in the morning, it is often because your spirit is responding to a pull, a whisper, a gentle nudge that does not come from your environment but from something far deeper. These early hours are known as the hours of heightened spiritual sensitivity. Your mind is not flooded by responsibilities. Your phone is not demanding your attention. The world is not screaming for you to move, perform, or react. Everything is finally still. And in that stillness, your inner world becomes clear. It becomes quiet enough for you to notice what you could not notice during the noise of the day. When God wakes you early, it is because He is extending an invitation. It is not a command that forces you. It is an invitation that invites you. An invitation to think, to reflect, to pray, to listen, to understand something deeper about your life that you would miss if He chose to speak to you in the middle of your daily chaos. These moments are sacred because they are not shared with anyone else. Nobody else is awake. Nobody else is listening. Nobody else is present. It is just you, your breath, your thoughts, and a voice that does not shout but whispers, hoping you will slow down long enough to realize that this awakening is not random, it is purposeful. Most breakthroughs do not come during the noise of the day. They come in moments of silence. Most clarity does not come from discussing your problems with everyone else. It comes when you are alone with yourself, long before the sun rises, when your heart is uncluttered and your mind is open. Many of the greatest insights people experience, the turning points in their lives, the decisions that change their futures, and the sudden understanding of what to do next, these often come during early awakenings. Why? Because in those moments, you are not distracted. You are not multitasking. You are not reacting to life. You are simply present. These early awakenings are invitations to deeper awareness. They happen because there is something God wants you to notice, something you overlooked, something you ignored, something you have been too busy to feel, something you have been too afraid to confront, or something you are finally ready to receive. It may be a warning about someone you trust too easily. It may be a push toward a decision you have been delaying. It may be encouragement that you desperately need. It may be comfort for a wound you have hidden. It may be wisdom for a situation you don't know how to handle. It may be reassurance that your prayers have been heard. It may be a reminder that you are stronger than the pressure you're facing, or it may be the beginning of a new chapter you don't even know is coming. But you will not recognize these things if you immediately roll over, sigh, and try to return to sleep. You will not hear the whisper if you drown it in irritation. You will not receive the message if you assume the moment is meaningless. The difference between someone who grows spiritually and someone who remains stuck is not that one receives more opportunities. It's that one pays attention when those opportunities come, wrapped in silence. When you wake up early for no reason, pause, breathe, listen. Ask yourself, why am I awake? What am I being invited to notice? What is stirring inside me? These questions open the door to understanding, and understanding opens the door to purpose. These moments are not interruptions, they are alignments. Early awakenings are God's way of saying, "Come closer, I have something to show you." During the day, you are surrounded by so much noise that it becomes almost impossible to hear yourself think, let alone hear the gentle nudges that God places in your heart. From the moment you open your eyes, the world begins to demand something from you. People call, responsibilities pull at you, distractions chase you, and stress occupies your mind before you even realize what's happening. You move from task to task, moment to moment, worry to worry, decision to decision, without ever giving yourself a chance to slow down long enough to hear the one voice that matters most. That is why clarity rarely comes in the middle of the day. Clarity comes when everything else is quiet, when the world around you is asleep, and when the noise inside you finally settles enough for God to speak to you clearly. When you wake up early without an alarm, without noise, without reason, it is often because God has chosen that exact moment to reveal something you could not understand before. Clarity is not just information. Clarity is direction, understanding, and alignment. It is the moment when confusion breaks, when patterns become visible, and when the questions swirling in your mind suddenly begin to make sense. This kind of clarity rarely appears when your day is full and your attention is divided. It comes when your spirit is open, your mind is still, and your heart is quiet enough to recognize the thoughts that don't come from you. Many people pray for answers but never create space to receive them. They ask God to guide them, but they live in environments too loud to hear guidance. They want direction, but do not slow down enough to notice the signs. So when God wakes you before the sun rises, it is often because He is giving you the clarity you asked for at a time when you are finally able to receive it. In these early hours, you are more honest with yourself. You are not pretending. You are not performing. You are not putting on a mask to face the world. You are raw, vulnerable, aware, and open. And this openness makes you capable of hearing the truth you avoid during the day. You may wake up with a sudden realization about someone close to you, or a thought that repeats itself, or a conviction about a decision you've been postponing. You may wake with a sense of peace about a direction you were afraid to take, or a warning about a path you were considering. You may wake up thinking about a habit that needs to change, an apology you need to make, or a boundary you need to set. These thoughts are not coincidences, they are clarity. They are the answers you prayed for, arriving at a time when the gates of distraction are still closed. Clarity is one of God's greatest gifts because it prevents you from wasting time, energy, and emotion on things that were never meant for you. It protects you from choosing people who are not aligned with your destiny. It shields you from making decisions based on pressure instead of wisdom. It saves you from investing in situations that drain your purpose instead of feeding it. And because clarity is so valuable, God often delivers it when He knows you are most able to receive it early in the morning, when the world is asleep but your spirit is awake. In those moments, you may notice that your thoughts are sharper, your emotions are calmer, and your heart is more sensitive to truth. Problems that felt overwhelming during the day suddenly feel manageable. Confusions that felt tangled begin to unravel. Things that felt heavy feel lighter. And ideas that were hidden rise to the surface with sudden clarity. This is not just your mind working, it is your spirit hearing. The clarity God gives in the early hours is often about where you are going next. It may be a reminder of who you must become, a revelation about a door that is opening, or insight about something you must leave behind. Sometimes the clarity comes as a question that won't leave. Sometimes it comes as an answer you didn't expect. Sometimes it comes as a sense of knowing, a quiet but firm realization that this is what you must do. When God gives you clarity in the early morning, it is because He knows this clarity will guide your steps for the entire day, and sometimes for the entire season of your life. It is not a random moment, it is a divine moment. And if you honor it, if you take a few minutes to listen, write, think, or pray, you will begin to see that everything you've been confused about starts to make sense. The answers you have been searching for arrive quietly, and the direction you've been desperate for becomes visible. Clarity is the language God uses when He is preparing you for something bigger, and sometimes the only way to receive it is to wake up early enough to hear the whisper you keep missing in the noise. There are seasons in life where you can feel something shifting, even before anything changes on the surface. You can't explain it to others, but deep inside you sense a movement, a stirring, a quiet disruption that tells you the chapter you're in is coming to an end and a new one is forming. Early awakenings often happen during these seasons. They are not coincidences, they are signals. They are the subtle ways God prepares your spirit for a transition long before your physical circumstances catch up. When you are being moved into a new season, new responsibilities, new opportunities, new relationships, new mindset, God often wakes you early because He needs your undivided attention. He needs a moment where He can speak to you without being drowned out by the noise of your daily life. Transitions are delicate. They require clarity, strength, and awareness. They demand that you let go of some things, embrace new things, and understand things you may not want to face. And because transitions determine your direction, God will never allow you to enter one blindly. The early morning is the time He prepares you. In those quiet hours when your mind is soft and your emotions are honest, He begins to adjust you for what is coming. You may not feel the full shift yet, but the preparation has already started. That's why you feel restless. That's why you wake up early. That's why your spirit feels alert, even though your body is tired. When God is preparing you for transition, He often begins by awakening your awareness. You start seeing things you didn't notice before. You begin sensing changes in people around you. You start questioning old habits and routines that no longer align with where you're going. You feel a pull to do more, to be more, to become someone stronger or wiser than you've been. These awakenings are not interruptions, they are alignments. They are the early stages of a transformation you didn't ask for but absolutely need. Sometimes the transition is a promotion in disguise. Sometimes it's the beginning of a new assignment, one that requires a version of you that is more disciplined, more focused, and more spiritually grounded. Sometimes the transition is the end of a relationship, the closing of a door you kept trying to open. Sometimes it is the painful realization that you have outgrown people, environments, or habits that once felt comfortable. And sometimes the transition is internal. Your beliefs, your mindset, your identity, shifting into something more powerful. None of these transitions are easy. They all require preparation. That is why God wakes you early. In those early hours, He may remind you of something you've ignored. He may bring someone to your mind that you need to release. He may stir a dream that you buried. He may highlight a weakness you need to strengthen. He may place a thought in your heart that becomes the blueprint of your next chapter. What feels like random morning anxiety is often spiritual preparation. What feels like restlessness is God moving you out of your old season. What feels like unfinished thoughts is God rewriting your direction. People often resist transition because it feels uncomfortable. But discomfort is the birthplace of destiny. Growth never happens where it is comfortable. It happens when God shakes your spirit awake and says, "Get ready, I'm moving you." Early awakenings are part of that shaking. They break your pattern long enough for you to recognize that something significant is approaching. They push you to become alert, reflective, and responsive. They force you to confront what you've been delaying. They position you to walk through the door when it finally opens. And here is the beautiful part. God always prepares you before He promotes you. He always equips you before He elevates you. He always strengthens you before He stretches you. The reason He wakes you early during seasons of transition is because He is shaping you into the person who can handle what you have been praying for. There is a version of you that fits your next season, and early awakenings are the workshop where that version is built. So when you wake up early, do not dismiss it as insomnia or stress. Ask yourself, what am I being prepared for? What is shifting in my life? What is God aligning me with? These questions open the door to understanding, because transitions are never random. They are divine movements. They are God's way of aligning your steps with your purpose. And those early awakenings are the first signs that a new season is already unfolding in your life. There are battles happening inside you that no one else sees. You carry emotions that you don't talk about, fears that you hide, memories that you avoid, and wounds you pretend no longer affect you. During the day, you stay busy enough to outrun these feelings. You distract yourself with work, conversations, noise, entertainment, responsibilities, anything that keeps your mind occupied. But when the world becomes quiet, when the noise fades, when the distractions fall asleep, that is often when your heart finally speaks. This is why early awakenings happen during seasons of emotional weight. God wakes you up not to trouble you, but to heal you, because He cannot heal the parts of you that you refuse to face. In the stillness of the early morning, you are more honest with yourself. You are not hiding behind a smile or pretending to be strong. You are not performing for anyone. You are not trying to look okay. You are simply you, unfiltered, unprotected, unguarded. And in that raw, vulnerable state, your heart becomes reachable. God can touch deeper places in you when you are quiet, still, and open. Wounds from your past, disappointments you never processed, heartbreaks you tried to forget, fears you never admitted, and pressures you silently carry all rise to the surface when you are awake early for no obvious reason. These awakenings are not accidents. They are invitations to healing. Sometimes you wake up feeling heavy. You don't know why, but you feel sadness or anxiety sitting on your chest. You feel the weight of something you haven't talked about. You feel questions you never asked. You feel emotions you pushed aside. This heaviness isn't meant to break you, it's meant to be released. God wakes you in these moments because He is giving you space to confront what you've been avoiding. Healing does not happen in the noise. Healing happens when you're finally quiet enough to hear the truth. There are emotions you carry that were never meant to live inside you forever. Bitterness from people who hurt you. Anger from situations that didn't go your way. Regret from choices you made when you didn't know better. Fear of repeating the past. Guilt from moments you wish you could erase. Comparison that steals your joy. Pressure that drains your spirit. These emotions sit deep within you, and they often influence your decisions, your relationships, your confidence, and even your faith without you realizing it. But God sees all of it. And rather than allowing you to continue operating from a wounded place, He wakes you early because He wants to heal the hidden layers of your soul. Many breakthroughs are delayed not because you lack talent or opportunity, but because your inner world is not ready to carry the weight of your next season. You cannot expect to grow while holding on to things that shrink you. You cannot expect to elevate while carrying emotional baggage that keeps you heavy. You cannot expect to step into your purpose with wounds that interrupt your confidence. That is why healing is necessary before promotion. And healing often begins in the quiet hours of the morning when your heart is most open. During these early awakenings, you may find yourself remembering moments you thought you forgot. You may suddenly understand why something hurt you so deeply. You may finally see the truth behind a broken relationship. You may recognize patterns you keep repeating. You may feel the need to forgive someone you haven't spoken to in years. Or you may finally realize that you must forgive yourself. Healing is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it begins with a quiet moment at dawn, when you finally acknowledge what you've been carrying. God does not wake you early to punish you. He wakes you because He loves you too much to let you continue living wounded. He knows you cannot enter your new season with old scars still bleeding. He knows the weight you carry does not belong on your shoulders. He knows your heart needs restoration before your life can move forward. So He wakes you when your guard is down, when your soul is quiet, and when your spirit is ready to let go. If you ever find yourself awake before sunrise with heavy emotions, don't rush back to sleep. Sit with it. Listen, feel, release. Healing is happening in the silence. Transformation is taking place in the stillness. Your heart is being repaired before your life elevates. And when God heals your inner world, everything in your outer world begins to align. When God wakes you up early, one of the clearest messages He is sending is that your life needs decluttering spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and even physically. Early morning awakenings are divine interventions that cut through the noise of your daily routine and force you into a moment of stillness, because your current pace, environment, or relationships may be suffocating your destiny without you realizing it. Many people underestimate how much their surroundings influence their clarity, productivity, mood, and faith. You may think you are simply tired, stressed, or unfocused, but sometimes the truth is deeper. You are carrying too much. You are surrounded by too much. You are distracted by too much. And God is trying to prune your life before the weight you're carrying collapses on you. When you wake up at a strange hour, especially with a restless mind or a troubled heart, it is often because God wants to reveal something that cannot be heard when your life is busy, loud, or emotionally cluttered. At 2 a.m., 4 a.m., or 5 a.m., the world is quiet, your responsibilities are asleep, your phone is silent, your family is resting, your workload has not begun. And in that rare silence, God begins to highlight the excess baggage that you have been ignoring, not because you don't care, but because your daily rhythm never gives you the space to confront it. Early awakenings shine a spotlight on the people you've outgrown but haven't released, the habits you tolerate but no longer benefit from, the responsibilities you carry but were never assigned to you, and the emotional weight you've normalized even though it drains your peace every single day. We often assume decluttering means removing physical items, but the most dangerous form of clutter is not what sits on your desk, it's what sits in your heart. Resentment, fear, doubt, and unhealed memories take up spiritual space, and God wakes you early to deal with them because your destiny requires more room. You cannot step into a new chapter if the old one still occupies your mind. You cannot receive new instructions if old emotions drown them out. You cannot carry the next blessing if your hands are still full of yesterday's burdens. Divine decluttering is not punishment, it is preparation. God is not trying to empty your life. He is trying to make room for what you've been praying for. Many people miss this message because they assume waking up early is just a sleep problem. But understand this: God disrupts comfort when comfort becomes the barrier to clarity. He disturbs your rest when you're resting in the wrong things. He interrupts your sleep when your spirit needs to wake up, and He will isolate your mind at dawn because dawn is when your thoughts are most honest. When God wakes you up early, ask yourself, what in my life feels too heavy? Which relationships drain me more than they build me? Which commitments steal my peace? Which habits steal my time? Which patterns steal my potential? These are the questions God wants you to confront before the sun rises, because He knows that once the day begins, you will slip back into survival mode instead of transformation mode. You cannot move forward with a cluttered spirit. You cannot rise higher with a crowded mind. You cannot walk into purpose while dragging people who refuse to grow. You cannot hear God clearly when unnecessary noise fills every corner of your life. God wakes you up early because He wants you to see what you keep overlooking. He wants to detox your inner world so He can build something new inside you. He wants you to release what no longer aligns with the future He designed for you. The pruning is not loss. The pruning is alignment. The pruning is the rewriting of your priorities, so your life reflects who you are becoming, not who you used to be. There are seasons where God reduces you before He increases you. Seasons where He subtracts before He multiplies. Seasons where He declutters your life so the next blessing has space to land. If God is waking you early, it may be because He is preparing you for elevation. And elevation always comes with separation, not punishment, not rejection, separation. He is making room for clarity, for healing, for direction, for peace, for wisdom, and for opportunities that cannot coexist with the clutter you've been carrying. When God wakes you up early, it's often because He is trying to prepare you for a season of acceleration that requires a level of discipline you have not yet mastered. Elevation is not random. Breakthrough is not accidental. Promotion is not luck. Every new level God wants to bring into your life demands a new version of you, sharper, stronger, more self-controlled, more focused, more spiritually aware, and more intentional with your time and energy. Early morning awakenings are not just spiritual signals, they are training ground. They are God's way of saying, you asked for more, but more requires preparation. Get up, I'm getting you ready. Many people pray for success, but remain unprepared for the structure success demands. They pray for opportunities, but are not mentally organized enough to handle them. They pray for financial increase, but waste the little they have. They pray for better relationships but refuse to heal old wounds. They pray for purpose but ignore the disciplines that protect purpose. When God wakes you early, it is because He is trying to build habits, mindsets, and rhythms that your future requires. You cannot be casual and expect greatness. You cannot be undisciplined and expect advancement. You cannot be inconsistent and expect supernatural doors to remain open. Discipline is not punishment, it is proof that you're ready. Early hours are strategic because discipline grows best in silence. There are no distractions demanding your attention, no noise pulling your mind in 10 directions, no obligations fighting for your energy. God wakes you when the world is still because stillness is where discipline can be shaped. It's in those quiet moments that He teaches you consistency, focus, patience, and self-control. When everyone is asleep, He trains you to think differently, to plan clearly, to organize the coming hours, and to align your heart with what truly matters. Growth requires intentionality, and the early morning is the most intentional time of the day. God understands something we often ignore. If you do not master your morning, the day will master you. Most people wake up already behind, rushing, scattered, unfocused, stressed, and unprepared. They spend the entire day reacting instead of leading. But when God wakes you early, He is trying to put you ahead of your day, ahead of the distractions, ahead of the emotional noise, ahead of the spiritual attacks, ahead of the responsibilities that usually steal your peace. He is giving you a head start. He is giving you control. He is giving you the opportunity to win the day before the day even begins. Discipline is painful at first because it disrupts comfort. It forces you to confront laziness, procrastination, emotional drift, and inconsistent habits. It forces you to choose growth over feelings. But that discomfort is the evidence that God is shaping you. He does not challenge you to hurt you. He challenges you to stretch you. He wakes you up early because He sees what you cannot see. An opportunity coming, a door opening, a responsibility waiting, a blessing forming, a season shifting. And He knows that if you stay as you are, you won't be ready. So He begins preparing you when the world is dark, because the next chapter of your life requires a version of you that only early morning discipline can produce. When God repeatedly wakes you early, it is not random, it is assignment. It means you're in a season where preparation is more important than comfort. It means He wants to sharpen your spirit, strengthen your thinking, and stabilize your emotions. It means He wants you to take control of your habits, reshape your routines, and prioritize what aligns with your purpose. The next season of your life may demand more wisdom, more patience, more purity, more efficiency, more courage, or more spiritual sensitivity, and He is preparing you for it before it arrives. This is why you cannot keep dismissing early awakenings as just insomnia. No, this is discipline training. This is God shifting your rhythm. This is Him teaching you that consistency is greater than motivation and structure is greater than inspiration. He is forming in you the character that can carry your next blessing without collapsing under its weight. He is developing the stamina that can sustain long-term success. He is shaping the internal foundation that can support your purpose for years to come. So when God wakes you early, don't roll over and dismiss it. Rise. Lean into it. Listen. Because those quiet hours are the birthplace of your next level. And the discipline He is building in you today will become the strength that carries you into the future He designed for you.